Look at him. He's just dickered. Just dickered, boys. Son of a bitch.
Yo, yo. Class A, and macro. Not connected, not elected to participate. Bouncing down the stems will make your head hurt. Enjoy the tape.
Hey friends, new and old, welcome back to Take a Wipe. This is episode 272. How was your week? It's Monday, start of a new week. Hopefully it was a good weekend and relaxing and fun and full of awesome shit. Oh, it would be fucking awesome if I was actually addressing each and every single one of you and you were all in the same room and we were just about to listen to this intro and then go fucking check out a show or something, man. I fucking miss all my buddies. I really do. Hopefully I will see some of you guys soon. Like, if this is your first time, welcome to the show. I do sponsors. I have sponsors, and they're on. They help me get the show to you guys. So I'm gonna ring them off here, and if you could listen to them, I think if you've listened to this before, you know all of them. There's about 6 of them. There are 6 of them. But if this is your first time, just give it a listen. These people support the show. We have ads for them. They help me afford all the back end type of stuff. They are great people and they have great products. I want to line myself with good things and offer you guys good things. So give it a listen and support these people, buy their stuff, like them. Even a simple follow is huge. Follow them, like them. Do it for me. Let's start off with the first one. Brewed Biscuits, all natural spent grain pet treats. These people, what they do is a spent grain. So brewers who make beer, they use oats and barley. They'll steep them in hot water. The sugar water that is made from that is used for the wort for their for their beers, and the grains are still viable. This company uses these spent grains and makes pet treats with them. There's no hops, no alcohol, no preservatives, no sugar, no salt. It's all natural pet treats. Ocho eats them. Ocho loves them. They're out of Norfolk County. They make them in a commercial kitchen. They have the 3 types. They have peanut butter, pumpkin sweet potato, apple, cinnamon. It's a really good product. I'm really happy to be lined up with them. If you love your pet, get some pet treats. Order it. twospentgrains.ca. TWO spentgrains.ca. They attend conventions. Go to the website. Find out information on them. You can find them on Instagram. Brewed Biscuits. It's a really good pet company. Super happy to be lined up with them. Order their pet treats and treat your dog with some good, healthy, natural pet treats. Excuse me. twospentgrains.ca. If you're a hot sauce fan and you haven't tried Heartbeat Hot Sauce, you're missing out. Heartbeat Hot Sauce is a hot sauce company from Thunder Bay. My friend Al and his partner Nancy run it. And it is by easily the best hot sauce I've ever had. Easily, man. And if this is your first time listening, you might be like, yeah, sure, dude, who I don't know. Of course you're going to say that. But legit, best hot sauce. And I feel like a lot of people can attest to that. It's delicious. It's hot, but it's flavorful. It isn't like a novelty hot sauce. It's really fucking good. Al knows what he's doing. He's a legit chef. This was a side hustle thing that just took off, and it took off because it's so fucking good. So you just have to try it. Heartbeathotsauce.com is where you can find out locations across Canada and the States that you can purchase it. If you're in Cambridge or 519, I have a bunch of bottles on me, so hit me up and we can talk and I can get them in your hands. They were on season 6 of Hot Ones. It's an amazing hot sauce company and super happy and proud to be lined up with them. Heartbeathotsauce.com. If you are looking to buy a car, if you or someone you know doesn't know where to go, doesn't know who to trust, my good friend Kevin Rigo of Hefner Toyota out in Kitchener is a great man, a good friend, an honest dude. I back this guy up 100%. You can trust him to make the purchase fun, easy. He knows his shit. He sells, Hefner Toyota. It's a Toyotas. A good product. And he's an awesome guy. So if you need to trust somebody, take my word and go see Rigo. Mention him to your friends. Just spread the word about Kevin Rigo. He's a really fucking great guy. Great guy. I love Rigo. Find him on Facebook. Like his page, Kevin Rigo of Hefner Toyota. Go buy a car from him. 3121 King Street, East in Kitchener. A lot of the people who listen are band people or small business owners, and part of what goes with that is merch and shirts and mugs and all that type of shit. Ironclad Graphics have you covered. They're a company from Kingston, and don't let that turn you off from it. They ship coast to coast. They're affordable with their pricing, and they do everything. They do enamel pins. They do coffee mugs. They do shirts, tote bags, koozies. They did my pins. They did my patches. They do everything. If you are curious or just even get a quote from them, ironcladgraphics.com, you can find all the information there. Dapperbeardoil.com. Dapper Beard Oil is a beard oil company from Ottawa. My friend Andrew runs it. What he's made is a good product. It's close to his heart. Andrew's an artist. You can feel that in everything he does, with the website, to the mail outs, to the beard oil itself. I've used it. It's really, really fucking good. It's functional. It helps hydrate your beard. It's antibacterial. It helps repair your shitty beard. Smells great. All ethically sourced. He's seen press in GQ, Huffington Post. It's a legit, as legit as they come. If you want to try it out, you can save money. Use the promo code TakerWide free ship and save on that shipping. Don't pay shipping. Use that promo code. Buy some beard oil. Support this man. Support this show. Do it. Try it. Find them on social media. dapperbeardoil.com. Lastly, we have Wellington Brewery, Canada's oldest independently owned microbrewery. They provide me with the courage and the fuel and the social lubricant. I was sipping on a rhubarb saison. It's a new beer that they got. Fucking delicious beer. Kind of local, close to home. If you're out and about, grab a Welly. Shoutouts to them. Shoutouts to all the sponsors. So, yeah. So this episode is with Andrew Nolan. Andrew is a musician based out of Toronto. He has done time in Endless Blockade. He currently plays with Intensive Care. Fuck, man. He's been in a lot of bands. He's also producing hip-hop under Wolfagram. And this was a really fun conversation, man. He's an older cat that's been doing it for a long time and just as enthused about it as he was when he was a younger man and a kid. You know, we get into his history. We get into touring, we get into squats, we get into creating. It was a fun conversation. Super happy he could do it with me, and I hope you guys enjoy. I hope this is a good way to start your week. This is 272 Take Her Wide with Andrew.
Let's
let her rip. Yeah, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. It's honestly, dude, like maybe because you're older, but like I'm just gonna say it and get it done with. Like I'm kind of nervous to do this podcast. I'm going to get that out of the way.
Is it because old people are cranky?
I don't know. You know, you're just a guy who's done, like, I respect what you've done, you know? It's a thing I need to get over with certain guests where, like, I could have a lot more people on, but I'm a dork. I really am. I'm like, I've never been a cool kid.
I appreciate that. I've never been a cool kid, cool 20-something middle-aged man or beyond. So, but yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So I'll say that, but I'm happy to do this. I'm glad we could do it. It's cool that you listened to the Eric one, just because I feel like that was a fun one for me to do. That's another guy too, Eric. It's like I wanted to get him on for a long time, and it took me forever to ask him.
Eric's a busy guy. He's having humans.
Yeah. Fuck. You don't have any kids, right? You and your partner?
Hell no, I do not have any kids.
No, never type of thing?
There will be no baby talk from me on this.
Okay, that's fine.
If you were interviewing Bloomer from Intensive Care, you could have babies and drum talk, but not from me.
What, has he got a couple or just one?
He has one human, one-year-old human.
Yeah.
Human male.
It's, I do wish more of my buddies did, though, just to be able to riff. And a thing that I find of playing music is I didn't prep for this shit. I didn't prep for for money. That's actually the biggest thing.
You didn't prep for fatherhood or fatherhood in music or
That fatherhood, well, more I think I didn't prep to involve anyone else in my not stupid, but in my passion to make stuff. I didn't plan for that.
yeah, it's a selfish pursuit.
Totally is.
Even with bandmates around, if you do it for a long time and if you have a degree of success on your own times, it is a very selfish pursuit.
Mm-hmm. And I don't like. I'm happy that I've been able to figure out a balance, but it still is pretty stressful because I didn't prep. I don't have skills. You know, I have skills, weird band skills, but it doesn't apply to the real world.
I disagree. I think they are transferable skills. I think if you can book a tour, if you can book a show, if you can turn up to the show and do a set list, and put out a record, I think you have project management skills. Not for a couple of years, I was teaching undergraduate students at York University. And the biggest thing that helped me, no one said, here's how you teach people. The biggest thing that helped me was how I've played music. And I don't mean comfort standing in front of people. I mean, I understood. I was like, well, okay, if I was playing a show, how would I do this? So it was like if I was playing a show, I would have a set list and I would know where things go. And I know how long it's supposed to be, and if this song happens at this time, then we're running too late, and we can add this if we've got more time. So there are transferable skills, and I think particularly DIY musicians. Sorry, I can't talk. Sell themselves short sometimes because there are transferable skills. If you're DIY in 2019, you're doing shit. You're managing shit. You're putting stuff together.
I think I agree with that for sure. I know that even when I was trying to get this just my life changing and getting a work thing, I put down like band manager and put all the skills like getting grants, booking tours, but I don't think people take it serious like other people even when they hear our music, it's like, this isn't a serious thing, which is, I understand the perspective or their thought of that, but it's kind of like trying to explain why music's cool to people who don't do it. I'll never be able to explain it. And it's same with the skills. Yeah, like I can book a tour. It's like, what does that mean for my fucking bank job or whatever?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's with people that you have social interactions with that aren't from your tiny little music scenes. I think there's a point where you have to stop explaining because you just lose them, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I mean, it sounds really cool going and touring in Europe, but the reality is not quite as fun as it might sound like for some co-workers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's certainly not all sex and drugs and just crazy partying nonstop. It's literally sitting on the back of a goddamn transit van and trying to find vegan food in fucking Dortmund at 4:00 in the morning. Like, it's not always that fun.
I just think of how bummed out like people at work would be if I took them on tour. Like, this is it. Like, yeah, this is it.
Yeah, it's real boring. Other than about 45 minutes of every day.
Yeah, totally, man. And like, you're a guy who's been doing it for a long. Like, you're older than me. I do want to ask how old you are, but I feel like that's rude. But...
No, I don't give a shit. I was born in 1973, so currently I'm 45 years old. I'm going to be 46 very soon.
So
I have been doing this a long time. It kind of doesn't feel like it. But partly because I haven't ever stopped, and I've never stopped and gone, I wish I was still doing that one thing I did 5 years ago, 10 years. Like, I've never been that person. Yeah.
No, have you, because I feel, especially playing underground heavy stuff, you can be successful and like release stuff, but it's also hard to see a return. This shit costs money. Like, and in your kind of time of doing it, have you ever like hit like a low point, like, fuck, this is really difficult, and like, why am I doing this, or never?
No, not like that, because like I said at the start, it's selfish, you know. I don't do this because I want everyone. I don't do this because, ooh, look at me. You know, like if I didn't ever speak to another human being, I would like be banging tin cans and making weird noises on cassettes and putting
Hmm.
it out for whoever, even if just for myself. And so, and the money thing, I haven't lost money on music in a long time. That's not to say I've made money
Hmm.
because I haven't really, like periodically.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never made money, but I haven't lost money in years. Or you reframe it differently. Like we just intensive care. We just played a show in New York a couple of weeks ago, and we played one show, so we flew in and out. But I went for 4 days. It was a vacation with my girlfriend, but it was a vacation where for 3 hours I had to be in a venue,
Hmm.
hanging around and talking the talk and then playing some music. So
Mm-hmm.
but like in terms of like putting out records and going on actual tours, and playing shows, I haven't lost money in a long time. But it's uh, but because you kind of get smart with how you do it. Like I haven't paid to be in a recording studio in over 10 years. Like I decided to teach myself how to do it,
Hmm.
10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, and I've been recording on fairly inexpensive equipment since. The recording equipment I have costs way less than it would cost to record one album in 2019, and I record multiple stuff. So it's you figure out how to do it. You figure out how to make merch that people want to buy.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess making smarter moves to not burn out from it. That seems like kind of a common thing, at least with some of my friends who are older, have taken the reins on cutting costs wherever they can to continue to do it.
yeah, see, mine's not even like in a cutting costs thing. It's about keeping me interested in it, and I'm interested in it. If things don't move forward quickly, I lose interest and I stop doing it. So in order for things to move forward quickly, I need to be able to control certain aspects that can slow things down. And one of those is the recording process. And if I can control that, so I'm not trying to book into a studio and I'm not trying to deal with some awful engineer,
Hmm.
and work around their schedule and pay them money for something that kind of might suck in the end. Like
Hmm.
if it's literally just like, hey, I'm turning up with my laptop and interface and a bag full of microphones today, and we're gonna do this,
Hmm.
and then I'll take it home and just mix it piecemeal every night after work. Like it's about so it's not about making financial cuts. It's about making cuts which would slow the process down and make me go, I don't really care about this. Oh,
Hmm.
sorry, I have to say I live right on a train track, so if suddenly it sounds like there's like a weird ambient noise set going on, it's just a train fast.
It's a demo I'm hearing or something. It's like early versions of something. It's okay. I can kind of like it doesn't make it. I can't really hear it when you like the I want to talk the point you said about like you'd be content just making music when you started playing. I like people get into hockey, people get into a whole bunch of different types of things, and obviously it stuck with you because you could have stopped at any point. When you were like younger, starting, how did you like? Was it a show you saw that was like, wow, this is amazing, or like some friends band that turned you on to this whole sort of thing?
No, I come from. No, I'm not going to say it that way. I've always been obsessed with music. Like when I was a kid, me and my friends, we were obsessed. We listened to everything. Like we were in the time when it was expensive to get records and you can stream them. So, you know, I would buy one album, my friend would buy one album, and we would go to his house and listen to his albums. We'd come to my house and listen to mine, and we listened to them all the goddamn time, and we put them on tapes and listen to them on our Walkmans, and we like trade tapes with each other. And then we just like we'd be kids. We'd walk around the streets of our hometown drinking cheap cider and just talking music all the time. Always talking music. Every conversation was music. So it was something to me that music wasn't just this thing that you paid for and had a good time to. It was a very encompassing cultural thing, and we were obsessed in understanding how it works and what the context was, and if this person was doing this, where did it come from and who did it influence and
Hmm.
how did these pieces all work together. So that's where my interest in music came, and I started playing an instrument quite a few years after that. Well, yeah, quite a few years after that. I don't know. I feel like it was always a given that I would dedicate my life in this way to music. And I've spent more time on music than anything else in my life, like including paid employment. And I consider that music is more a part of my life than anything else. It's not top of the chain anymore for me. Like, my partner and my dog and my living arrangements come first, but music is probably after those three. It's up there. It's a part of me, and I think I get this question, maybe not so much now, but I definitely got this question a few times when playing in the Endless Blockade, and I was in my like mid to late 30s at the time, and people would say, "What keeps you inspired to keep going?" And I know what the question was. The question was like, "You're old. Why do you keep doing this?" Or they're asking like, talk shit about young people, which I don't, I definitely don't and won't do, and I think that's a really bad look, and youth get shit on so much that you don't need old timers doing that. Like, but I don't know. For me, it's not a question. It's like music is in me. It informs everything I do. And sometimes I look back and go, ugh, I wish I hadn't wasted my time with that so much. So maybe that's that low point that you asked about earlier. But it's always, it's always there. It always will be there with me. I don't know. I kind of wonder what the future is going to be. I wonder what I'm going to be like when I'm 55, like how I'm involved. But I think if you asked me at 25, you say, "Oh, you're going to be playing in weird ass bands in 20 years." I wouldn't have been able to conceive that I would be doing the stuff I'm doing now 20 years ago. So I don't know. I mean, Eric Wood's in his 60s now.
Yeah, well, it's coming. Well, I hope it's coming for all of us, that we're gonna get old and not, die in a crash or something. But
it's open.
Yeah, the stuff that the small kind of shitty venues and the it's not like combo amp type stuff. At least what we're doing. I joke about this with Mark, where it's like, man, at what point, like, is it ridiculous that we carry an 810 down some stairs?
Oh yeah, no, I have that conversation all the time. So I'm gonna come clean. So my the things that keep me excited and involved in music are not necessarily the things that kept me excited and involved in music even 5 years ago. Like, I am much less excited about playing shows than I was. I am much less excited about going on tour for multiple reasons, but I'm not unexcited about music that other people are making, that I'm making, the culture and context of music, and writing music. I'm not unexcited about that. I'm just not particularly enthused about playing and going to shows very often anymore. Like, I do them and I'm not going to complain about it. So, oh my God, I want to play again. But it's that's not the thing that fills me with joy and excitement anymore.
Man, I hear you.
It did once.
100%. It's by nature, I just don't really have the time to do it. But it seems ridiculous to think of me in my 60s like still gigging, but doesn't mean I can't still create, right? That's the one nice thing about, like, even you having the ability to record your own stuff. As long as you're coherent, you should still be able to create, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, my dad is my father was an amateur musician, not passed on to me at all. Very separate lives, but he was recording music into his late 60s and only stopped because he got some weird virus, and when he recovered from it, he had non-harmonic distortion in his left ear.
Wow.
So he can't hear things properly anymore. So he had to stop doing music, which was a huge blow for him. But he immediately took up watercolor painting for the first time in his life and is like really fucking good at it.
Wow.
So, which blows my mind. So yeah, so I don't know. Like,
I wonder. I kind of worry a little bit. Maybe not so much now, but like so much of being a musician and making music is such a part of me that if I lose it, I worry, like, how am I going to be? Do you worry about that? Like, if you couldn't do it because so much of yourself is invested in it?
I think I would. I don't like to think about that. I think all of us that play with extremely loud amplifiers behind us have to consider that our hearing is my hearing's definitely not as good as it once was. And I think all of us kind of entertain that. I mean, if I lost the ability to enjoy music, it would be a huge, huge blow. But I honestly feel like I would very quickly do something else. Like, my father got into watercolors. I think I would probably start just writing if I I've tried to do it over the years periodically and always just stop because music is easier and I'm better at it.
Hmm.
So it stops me doing some of those other things. So I feel like I would switch to something else.
Yeah. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, right? Like that's the thing
Yeah.
actually I need to do more of is spread myself out a little more and not just cuz I don't write riffs, you know. I'm a drummer. I just do that. And that's such a physical thing. So if I lose that, like I guess I'll just do this podcast or something. That's just something I don't need like my hands for really.
You will be a professional podcaster,
Yeah.
interviewing aging podcasters.
When I'm like 60.
So what keeps you motivated in doing a podcast still at 67 years
Yeah.
old?
Fucking insanity.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna ask though, like when you were a kid, do you remember like your first record that you got? Like, is there and the kind of the story behind it? I always kind of think that's interesting.
The first record that I got, or the first music I was really transfixed by?
Let's do both. Let's say the first like physical record you remember getting.
Oh God, I don't remember exactly what it was. I think the first record I ever bought with my own money was a hip hop record in around 85 or 86.
Wow.
And I know if I listened to it now, I'd be like, God, this sucks.
What was it? You remember?
They were called the Three Wise Men. It was a British rap group from London, England. And I think it's one of those things where you'd listen to it now and you're like, man, this sounds like super primitive. Like,
Well,
kind of these kind of shouty nursery rhyme style rapping with very over the top drum machine drums. I remember buying that and being just very excited that I bought this record. The first music I got really obsessed with was a little bit before that. Actually, I don't know. Now, as a kid, no. Before that, I loved Iron Maiden and I loved the artwork, but I was kind of scared to buy it. I don't know why. I went down a different path by not buying Iron Maiden tapes when I was. Maybe that's a good thing. The first song I ever got really obsessed with is another like mid '80s hip hop song. Was Dougie Fresh and the Get Fresh Crew. The song called "The Show," which is I won't do it now, but I could still quote most of that for 30 plus years later. Yeah, that was the first thing I got really obsessed with. And then just throughout the late 80s, just obsessed with hip hop. And the first DIY thing I ever did with my friends was we set, and this goes back to talking about, music to us was never just like liking some music. We were obsessed with it. We set up a pirate radio station when we were 15 years old.
Holy fuck, eh?
Yeah, and most of the other pirate radio stations in our city at the time were just playing like reggae and stuff, which was cool, but we wanted to hear like hip hop, and like my friend wanted to play all acid house and stuff. So in 1988, we set up a fairly short-lived pirate radio station. We ran it on the weekends, and the government kicked the door off its hinges and arrested everyone who was there at the time because it was very brutal. Thankfully I was not there at the time, but so that was the first like major DIY thing I did, and I was really obsessed with hip hop at the time. Like the Public Enemy's second album, Nation of Millions, was just like, God, and I still worship that record, and it informs everything I do, production-wise still. But I'm just absolutely obsessed with that. And then a few years later, kind of getting into more metal and punk stuff, and just like the Dead Kennedys really captured my attention. And then like a lot of like Napalm Death and Heresy and bands like that. And then some death metal stuff like Morbid Angel, just absolutely captivating when I was a teenager. And some of it still does. Some of it can I can still put on some of those records from them, and they still awaken the same kind of feelings inside me that I had then. It's a strange thing,
man.
It's a very strange time machine.
Yeah, well, that makes me think of. I just trying to picture you being a kid, and at least for me, there was a moment where like I liked music, and then some local kid kind of, by literally just kind of playing some songs, made it like, oh, this isn't out of my realm. Like this kid can do it. Did you have something like that? Like, or at least the first time you were like, here's my first song. Like that must. You're such a music lover. It must have been kind of fucking crazy.
The first time I actually made music. I don't know. It's a blur. I mean, I think that for me the exciting part was actually playing on the playing stuff on the radio, like DJing on the radio. Like we learned how to do it. Like we'd set up a fucking pirate radio station and
How
a
do you
friends
set up?
up.
How do you do that? Like
Well, we had we were a weird group of friends, and one of our friends was like a total science nerd, and I think he became like he worked. I think he ended up working for like film production companies later on in life and building like weird cameras for TV companies and specialist audio and visual stuff. But so he was really into like just the idea of building these science projects, and my close friend at the time, he was kind of in that world, but also like really into acid house, and I was just really into hip hop, and then all our other friends were sort of in that world. So we it was facilitated by the nerd who wasn't in the music in our social circle, and also the junkie whose apartment we used the radio station. Um, but that's kind of how it was facilitated. And I remember it was super exciting. You know, like you don't know who's listening, and you
Yeah.
just like these kids going through puberty playing just like insane fucking hip hop on the air on a Saturday afternoon. It was marvelous, and
Wow.
it was like oh I'm doing this, but
Mm.
it didn't it was like but I should be doing this because I'm so obsessed with this, and I know this stuff, and I love this stuff, and I want other people to know this stuff and love this stuff too. So I'm going to play you all the songs that I think are just fucking incredible, and you have to hear them too.
Fuck.
So that I think was my first kind of foray into that, and then musically, I don't know. When I started doing bands, so I was 15 then, and I started really playing in bands when I was like 19 and 20, and I think I started playing in good bands when I was about 20 or 21.
Mm.
Um,
When did you come over here?
I came here in 2003, so I've been here almost 16 years. Yeah, 16 years in a couple of days actually. Is my
Okay.
anniversary. Yeah. I was born in Leeds in the north of England, which is right at the pirate radio station. I lived there until I was in my late teens, and I moved out of home and moved up to Newcastle, which is a little further north. I lived there for a few years, and that's where I started doing bands and music, and really kind of got into like DIY politics and the music attached to that, and like kind of hardcore punk and like some more metal stuff. That's when I really embraced that more.
Mm.
And then I moved up to Glasgow in Scotland and lived there for almost 10 years before I moved over here.
Holy shit.
It's weird. I've been in Toronto for a third of my life now, which feels really really weird to me because I don't feel very Canadian. I'm actually not officially Canadian, but I don't feel very Canadian. But I've lived here for like a third of my life now.
Huh. Huh.
In a couple of years' time, this will be the longest city I've ever lived in, which feels very strange to me. But yeah, I've been here since 2003.
So your band's like when you first started, what was that like? You know, because you're such a fan of music and you're playing like your first gig. Like, what was that first gig like? Where was it? What'd you guys play?
First gig I ever played was probably in a biker bar in Newcastle called the Broken Doll,
Hmm.
which was I love that place. It was knocked down and turned into a highway or something since then. But that was a weird, cool bar. You would go downstairs and drink in the bar downstairs, and you were surrounded by super hardcore bikers and like old punks who were kind of like really scary, violent people. That's when punks were like fucking
Yeah, actually
terrifying.
scary.
Yeah, and especially in some parts of the world, punks were fucking scary then. Like, and they were not part of the punks. I was in the very polite '90s punk scene, but the ones from the older generation, the ones that, they were some fucking tough people. But you'd walk downstairs to this bar in the Broken Doll, and I know I'm not talking about my first show because that's less interesting than the environment was in. And there'd be like these biker dudes literally cutting up blocks of hashish on the tables in there. And I remember one time we actually played a show in the downstairs part. We were just hanging out with this guy outside, and he's drunk off his ass, and he's like, "Hey, I just got out of prison." We're like, going, "Okay, cool." And he goes, "Hey, come out here. I want to show you something." And we went into the parking lot, and this is in England, bear in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And he just pulls out a fucking handgun.
Oh my god.
Which is not something you see in England very often. And he's showing us a fucking handgun. One time in this bar, we were just drinking in the bar, which at the venue upstairs, and there was a little stage downstairs. And we met a guy who wrote some music for Coca-Cola and made millions off that, and was now just like some just old shithead drinker with a lot of money who just like bought all us and all of our friends like drinks all friggin' night. This was the
Wow.
strange environment that my music stuff started off in, like actually playing music.
It sets the stage, man, for the next like 40 years. I'm just grabbing a beer.
I'm jealous.
I'd send you a beer if you were here. It'd be easier. For
I mean, I could
face-to-face.
get whiskey, but it's too far away. And
I could put pause if you want, bro.
yeah, pause it. I'm gonna get a whiskey.
Okay, hey, hell yeah. Okay, go for it.
On your screen.
You're back.
I
Am I still here?
I mean, you're still a poor connection, which will resume automatically when you improve.
All right, cool. As long as you can still hear me.
Yes. Are we on pause now?
We're on pause right now, yeah.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Sorry, okay, sorry, listeners. This is gonna get real shitty now because I'm drinking whiskey.
Whatever, man. Whatever. I'm happy to. This is the fun thing about this, man. Like I love talking about this shit because it's a shared experience. Like I've played shitty, sketchy gigs as a young man. Your story about that venue is I love it because I think of just young kids, just like we love music, we want to do it. We'll literally do it anywhere, and then you're getting guns pulled out and like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, like. So the amazingly open world of DIY community spaces didn't really happen to me until the first time I played in mainland Europe, which was, oh God, 95,
Wow.
maybe 96, 95. So before that, all the shows were in, other than in Bradford and London. Bradford had the 1 in 12 club, which was like an autonomously run venue, which I fucking loved. Absolute paradise to me, and it's still there. Love that place so much. It's hugely important in my evolution as a human being and a musician. And then in London there was like some squat venues, but the rest of the country you were just playing in just fucking raucous biker bars. Like I don't know, it was kind of fun, terrifying. Like pretty much all the bars you'd play in Glasgow were just not Glasgow. Glasgow wasn't too bad. Newcastle would, at the time, like there was some like fucking wild elements, like the Broken Doll, and then the Cumberland Arms there was always some just absolute fucking maniacs in the bar downstairs, like giving you the stink eye as you walked in and out, and the real old school punks would like sometimes pick fights with them.
Oh my God.
Actually, I remember coming back from I remember coming back from a show once, and we were on the night bus coming home, and a bunch of locals got on and saw some punks sitting at the front, and were like, haha, and they were about to start fucking with them, and they looked at the bus, and it was just full of old school, like real hardcore, like old school punks, and they just stopped and they just shut the fuck up, and they didn't say anything. I was about to say that the wildest punk thing I ever was sort of attached to, I was an audience member of, was when Conflict played in Newcastle in would have been 92, I think, and we were drinking in the bar around the corner, the Barley Mow, which I used to love, and I just remember like punks just starting to stand up on the tables and kick pint glasses off them, just going fucking wild. And then that was before the show even started, and we get to the show, and just fucking chaos of these absolute psychopath old school punks, like definitely not like you see now. And I'm not missing those days because there was some horrible shit too, but just like fucking insane. Never seen anything like it since. Apparently the year before, or the time before that, when they played, someone set up a burger van outside to sell hamburgers to people leaving the concert, not realizing it was a Conflict show, and the punks tipped the burger van over with the person inside it.
Oh fuck! That's like I'm glad I didn't live through that type of shit. I'm soft as hell, man. Like I'm not built for being. I don't think I would have been an old punk guy, because that was like real shit, you know. Like I don't know, but it sounds like it. I didn't live it, but fuck, man.
No, I didn't. I mean, growing up in Leeds in the 70s and 80s was not fun, and it teaches you to kind of stand up for yourself. And then Newcastle, the time I was you know, I didn't live in the greatest area of town. You had to fight, you know. If it's not like now where everyone's got like funny colored hair and covered in tattoos. If you had like tattoos or weird hair or just look different, like, which can mean just having like a pierced nose, like people would chase you down and kick the shit out of you. There was this bar in Newcastle where if you were going in, they would make you roll up your shirt sleeves, and if you had any tattoos, they wouldn't let you in.
Wow.
Like rolling up your shirt sleeves to the shoulder.
Wow.
And they wouldn't let you in. Yeah, those are days when people would, I don't know. I don't miss them. I'm not one of these boring old people like, oh, kids today, I used to be punk when it was called Hey Faggot. Like, I'm not one of those people.
Yeah.
I hate those people.
Yeah.
But it was definitely like people would just chase you down the street. You'd be hanging out with your friends and they'd be skateboarding, and like just people would just turn up and like try and fucking kill you.
Oh,
Like, I remember walking home one night and someone mounted their car onto the sidewalk to try and run me over as I was walking back from getting Chinese food. Like, just, yeah, I don't miss those times.
No. Well,
But I guess where I'm going with this is the punk scene that was just before my generation's and my peers' punk scene, they had it harder than we did.
mm-hmm.
So they were just like, the ones that stuck around, they were like fucking criminals. They were fucking criminals, like, especially in the North, like just dysfunctional criminals.
How I wonder what the alternate is, like if you were a music lover but just happened to fall into like folk music or something and playing these nice gigs, like the opposite,
No, that wasn't so.
No.
In the 80s in England, like, people would just fight at any gig. People would tell me that they would go see. There was this band called The Wedding Present from Leeds, where I'm from, who were, I guess they were an indie rock band, but they were kind of big. But yeah, you would apparently go to those shows and there'd just be like fucking violence and people like smashing bottles in each other's faces and stuff. Like, if you were into music then, yeah, you were fighting all the time. All the fucking time.
Yeah, no
And
thanks,
my generation is just one generation after that, thankfully. And I think what I would like in that, Acid House really calmed a lot of stuff down. Like, early rave culture in the UK really calmed stuff down. I remember going to nightclubs and just being a shithead 17-year-old and taking a bunch of drugs and going to like outdoor like illegal raves and stuff. And people who were football hooligans were in there taking ecstasy and hugging everyone. And like a lot of my friends who were football fans at the time, or soccer to you North Americans, but they said the change was almost instantaneous. Like, it went from this absolute violence on the terraces to people suddenly getting involved in that whole kind of the UK Summer of Love, which I guess was like 87 or 88 when Acid House really hit and ecstasy kind of got big. So the same people who were football hooligans also really took to the early rave scene, and that kind of the drug culture around it tempered a lot of the violence, is how it's been told to me from people who are a little bit older than me and from friends growing up with who were going to the matches at the time. Because I grew up in Leeds, and Leeds was really, really bad for football hooliganism until around 88, 89 when it mellowed off a lot.
Did you because you're a music lover and you're a kid and when you were making music, like, were your bands heavy type stuff, or were you also doing like hip hop beats and stuff?
So we made a lot of weird unknowingly experimental music when we were kids. We were just like, we had like a couple of analog synthesizers and turntables, and we would just like make weird tapes of stuff, and we didn't know anything about that, a broader tradition of experimental music. We were just like fucking around, and then a friend had an old Atari computer, and we would start trying to make dance music on it. This like 4-track sequencing software, and we did that. But my first actual bands, my first real bands were like hardcore punk bands, and then I started getting really involved in the 90s experimental noise cassette culture that was going around. I got involved in that around 94, I guess, and that took over a lot of my energy. So yeah, I've always made my first band was not like some weird folk band with my dad and my brother. It was shitty punk band, or a bunch of noise tapes.
Were you like your first tour? Was it with while you were like in overseas, or was it with like what was your first tour? Where was it?
Okay, so I played music with a bunch of friends. So the difficulty, and I guess we didn't really get onto this. So the difficulty then was finding other people to play music with. It was hard to find. It wasn't until relatively late on in my life as a musician that you would be playing in a band, and everyone in the band was into the style of music you were doing. Like you were always working with like a drummer that wasn't really into playing hardcore punk but wanted to do it just to play music, and you were friends with them and they could play the drums. So it was always really kind of hard to find the right people. And I guess as doing more local bands, you play with some older bands, and then I started a second band to my primary one with some people who were a bit older than me and had been around and toured more, and they kind of showed me how to do it. That was a band I was in called Ebola.
Okay.
In 95, and Mickey, the guitarist, and Karen, the singer, they were not that much older than me, actually. It felt like they were at the time, but they weren't really that much older than me. But they had been... Mickey had been in old peace punk bands back in the early 80s and had been putting out records for forever. So kind of by proxy got absorbed into his network of stuff and learned by watching older people and being involved. So, you know, we could go on tour then because it was like, oh, let's go on tour. And it's like, how are we going to do it? Because before it was like, well, I know Jim and Bradford who'll book us, and I know Tom and Sheffield. But then it was like, well, I know this whole network that exists. So kind of, I guess, via osmosis, just was absorbed into that world and absorbed it and kind of understood those principles. And, you know, watching the older peers that were around, and some of them took me under their wing and kind of figuring that out. So touring got made easier for me that way because I feel like I probably skipped a couple of steps by suddenly being in a band with some older people who have more experience.
Well, still, it's a fucking great experience to be able just to do it.
Yeah, of course.
Was it like was it in? I'm trying to figure out. Was it like mainland Europe you were doing first of all? But
so I'd always I'd played shows up and down the country in the UK. At the time, it was not worth touring in the UK. Also, you could drive from one end of the country to the other in a night. You know, it's not like playing in the States where you can be doing like 14-hour drives between cities. You know, 14 hours, you're almost at the other end of the country in the UK. So we played I'd played various shows up and down the country with various people. But yeah, the first tour I properly did was in Europe. And I didn't have any real connections in Europe. So that was all booked through the label that we were on for our first album, Flat Earth Records. Yeah, so the first tour I did was like through like Belgium and Germany and probably Austria, like that sort of Northern Europe piece.
And you know, I think about the treatment of people over there versus here. So now, like, I'm just gonna jump quite a bit. But when you start touring over here, is it like what the fuck? Why, like, because it's so different. It's totally different. Did you?
It is, but it's different in different ways. Like I did my first US tour before I lived in Canada. I think it was in. Actually, it was probably just before I moved to Canada. Like my old band Shank, we played in California and toured around there.
Okay.
But it was very different. The European. I can't speak authoritatively on it in 2019 because I'm very out of date with my references. So I'm talking through the lens of my own experience, which is very much kind of in the past now. But Europe was the exciting thing about going to Europe was these permanent spatial structures. So you would go to, I remember going to Leipzig was it Leipzig? Yeah, Leipzig for the first time, the Zorro, which I think is still there.
It is still there.
Yeah, and I'm playing there in like 95 or so, and I remember walking around after the show with the singer from the band, and I didn't drink at the time, but he was just like fucking wasted, and we went out to someone's party in an apartment nearby, and we turned around a corner and it seemed like this whole neighborhood was squatted, and there was graffiti on the road that said "No police," and then there was like an old World War II anti-aircraft gun on a roof. And I remember looking at it being like, "What fucking wild Mad Max world are we in?"
Yeah.
So the exciting thing about Europe, and probably still now, is you there's these huge centers, people live in them and they work in them, and there's these very kind of parallel economic universes happening. And that's very exciting, but sometimes the shows weren't that interesting. Last time, was it the last? Yeah, the last time I was in Europe, which was when I was in Pick Your Side for a minute, when I replaced your bandmate temporarily. I remember a show in Austria we played. The show was not very exciting, and it was mostly not very exciting because I felt like most of the audience were in there because it was the only place in town you could still smoke. Yeah, but that whole spatial thing and the networks around that was always very exciting to me, and very it was like a permanency of the cultural aspects. It was super exciting to me. But then like I said, the spin-off of that is the shows tended to skew older. Younger people don't get as much of a say because they don't control the physical spaces, but they weren't there at the start of them. So it's very kind of hierarchical in those senses. And again, I'm going back. This is probably not, I'm sure it's not like this now. That's what my feelings were then. And then touring in, I'm going to say America, not Canada. But touring in America was much more exciting. It was like a temporary taking over of space. So in Europe, it was like these permanent spatial fixations of community centers and anarchist stuff and squats. And then, which are more like in Amsterdam, these were squatted buildings with cinemas in them, and they'd been there for like 20 years. I know a lot of them have been evicted now. But then when you went into America, it was these temporary taking over. So it was, VFW halls and like some kid's basement. And it was this kind of coming together of so Europe, it's like we're hardcore and punk, and we create these structures and we build them and we operate with them. And in America, it seemed like we're hardcore and punk, and we will just take over anything and make it ours for the time we are using it in. And I think so because of that, there's not much permanency to the venues, and things can fall apart quickly because there isn't that permanent space. But they were very exciting, and people were very kind of, people would go off when they were at shows.
Totally.
And those were the sort of differences that, I don't know if that was even a question asked. But those were the kind of differences I saw, like the differences in approaches, and there's pluses and minuses. And I think I always preferred the excited, youthful, crazy crowd in a basement shows. I always preferred those, I think.
That's interesting because I think of the money, because whenever I've ever done the States, it's been P2 visas and money and stuff like that. So I've always
I've always played illegally in the States.
I've not argued, but I've been the guy saying if you're gonna lose money and spend money, go to Europe to do it. But that is a really good point. The enthused kid in a basement in fucking Asheville, North Carolina, is like something you might miss out on like a 40-year-old squat in fucking wherever.
It is, and the economics are different as well, because you're playing a basement show that's $5. You're not going to get a ton of money off the door, but everyone wants to buy a record. Everyone wants to buy a shirt. When you go to went back in the day, so sound like an old, but certainly some of those shows, the crowd wasn't that. The punk was just the space and being in the space, like the entertainment, and it was just kind of, well, that's what happens in these spaces. So sometimes it was almost like it was secondary to, well, I guess it was secondary to the space itself. Man, so people don't buy merch from you. Well, they didn't. I know they do now in some places, but for every, on a European tour, you'll sell 3 records at a show, and then you're playing in this tiny basement in upper New York State, and you'll sell 100 records because everyone's just like, oh my god, I need this, and you make the money that way.
Yeah.
Because I guess it's probably because the participants need to take something away from the night, and they do that by buying a record or a shirt, whereas they don't need to take something away from the night in Europe, because the night is not a temporary thing, it's a permanent structure you're in. It's their continued involvement in that social space. So they don't need to buy these things to commemorate the evening.
Yeah, man, it's. I agree with that 100%. I agree with that. The type of showgoer that, on a whole, that I've experienced as far as the basement show to like the staple squat is different. Totally different.
Yeah.
Totally different. Do you like, if you were to tour again, like, do you plan on it, or is it just when opportunity comes? Because I know you just did that little, or the
We
US
did it.
thing.
We did a 10-day tour, intensive care. We did a 10-day tour 6 months ago, which was the first tour I'd done in 4.5 years. I wasn't expecting to do it again in my life. It was fun. I enjoyed it. There's times where I'm like, yeah, I'm okay now. I could probably go home.
Uh-huh.
But it was good. I totally enjoyed it. My mindset is, if I never toured again, I wouldn't miss it. But if I did tour again and it was in the right circumstances, I'd totally do it. I'm kind of ambivalent towards it. Like, I'll do it if it's right. The tour we just did was different. Everything I've always been involved in, there's always been a very kind of DIY, quite militant about as well. No, we're doing it this way, and this is how we operate, and this is our expectations, and this is who we want to work with in arranging this stuff. And then the tour that Intensive Care did was like, we were the opening on a package tour in not big venues, but certainly mid-sized venues that were sold out every night because, the bands we were on tour with, which was The Body and Uniform and Author and Punisher, are relatively popular. But it was nice. It was different. It was a very different kind of way from how I've done it in the past. I think if I'd done this 10 years ago, I would have probably got my grumpy DIY hackles up, but at this point in my life, I'm like, nah, this is cool. I like this. It takes the effort out of it for me. I just have to turn up at the right time and perform, and I don't know. Yeah, it was nice. It was good. It was good fun doing it.
I guess, yeah. If that was the last one, if it was, it sounds like a fun sort of way to go out. And who knows, like maybe tomorrow someone's gonna hit you up like, you're part of this big package and it's gonna be awesome. But who knows?
We've had some half offers this year that haven't panned out, and we were asked to go to Japan in October, which we couldn't do in the end because work and family related things made it not really possible. I don't know. There is the possibility of there is some outside possibility of still doing something at the end of the year in California on the West Coast. If it happens, great. If not, it's fine. It's with bands much more popular than us that are sort of talking about it, and if they don't do it, that's okay because their schedule's way different from ours. So
that's such a nice, comfortable answer, because I feel like, at least when I was younger, there was like a panic in trying to do it and trying to make it. Were you ever like, I did. I totally tried to make it. I was like, we're just gonna tour and this is it. No girlfriends. This band is it. And it sucked. But did you ever do that? Like, we're gonna make it. This is gonna pay my bills at home.
I've never seen making it in those terms, so that's never been my drive. I feel like I've made it on my own terms, and it's been, I've put out a lot of music and I've played a lot of shows, and I haven't lost money on it in a long time now. And it's been enjoyable, and I haven't felt that compromised by too many things that I've done. So no, it was, I don't know, like, it's different now than it was. Like Full of Hell are close friends of Intensive Care as a band and also us as individuals, and they're like just awesome people, like just very close friends, and they've always been very open that one of their bigger influences has been the Endless Blockade. I mean, I don't think they particularly sound like it now, or maybe they never really did, but I know we were influential to them, and it's nice that they say that to us. And occasionally people have said, "Oh, you find it weird that there's this band who kind of say they're so influenced by your older stuff, but you were playing basements to 50 to maybe 200 kids, and they're playing like huge shows." I'm like, but it wasn't the same. You couldn't do that when the Endless Blockade was around. Like, you couldn't. The ceiling was a lot lower now then than it is now. So making it would have been so making it when I was like really able to do more of this would have meant um, playing a lot of music I wouldn't have wanted to play.
Hmm.
It would have meant sucking up to a lot of people I would have had no interest in sucking up to.
Hmm.
Endless Blockade toured a lot, and we toured with other bands, but we only ever toured with bands we were friends with or had some kind of connection to.
Hmm.
Um, because we all had other jobs, and it was kind of a big thing to go on tour. So it's like, well, let's minimize this from sucking as much as possible. So we
Hmm.
minimize it from sucking by, hey, we're going to go on tour with this band because they're our friends and it's going to be fun.
Hmm.
And if you're trying to make it, then it's going to be. I've never wanted to be like in a minimum wage grindcore band or something. It's
Uh,
never appealed to
uh,
me. I've had friends who've tried to do that. It just looks awful to me.
I think it is, man. I think getting out there and touring, it's not really like a natural thing as a human in this like last 100 years. Like we're not really nomadic people anymore. Like people live at home.
Yeah,
Some people
yeah.
can do it, but I don't want to do it. And when I was doing it, it wasn't fun. It wasn't. I looking back, it wasn't good for me.
Touring is hard on the body. Touring is really hard. Touring, yeah. Like things that I have found hard on my body and mental state are working night shift and going on tour.
Yeah,
Like they take it out of you.
they do, man. It's not. It's easy. I'm glad that I did it when I was younger. I'd hate to be now trying to start to do it. And even for you to be able to be like, I'm cool with gigs and tours. Like it must be nice to be comfortable in that. Like you don't sound like you're worried about playing a tour again, which I think is really
No,
healthy.
no. I'm also not chasing my fading relevancy though. Like I feel like a lot of people who I'm friends with and who are my age. Sometimes I talk to them and they kind of embittered old men who are desperately still trying to prove that they're relevant and being mad that
Huh.
kids today don't quite treat them with the respect they should be treated with. I don't give a shit. Like I make weird, fucking stupid music that's of minimal appeal to anyone, and my primary goal for making any of it is for myself.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I'm happy doing what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm really not. I don't like being around those embittered
Hmm.
bit band dudes who just hate everyone and everything. I'm like, why do you do this? Like,
Hmm.
there's things that I don't like, and
Hmm. Hmm.
some people sometimes will be standing around me and will definitely hear me say, "This band fucking sucks, and this is awful, and that person over there's a fucking idiot, and I hate my life right now." But that's not really how I actually feel about everything all the time. Like, and I
Uh-huh.
do this stuff because it gives me something,
Hmm.
and it ain't money,
Yeah. Well,
not financial compensation, so it has to give me something, right?
I think it's super evident. It's super evident with just older punk metal type guys. Because if it was
Oh
for
yeah.
anything, any other reason, even myself, like I would have stopped a long time ago. How much longer do I have you, man? Like I don't want to keep you up all night. Like it's
You have me for longer. Do you want to switch conversation to
no, I
something?
just I just am just aware of
Do you
your
edit your
time.
podcasts? I assume you're going to edit this part out.
Generally no. Like they
Okay.
run about an hour to an hour and a half, so it's
All
just
right. So listeners enjoy me drinking whiskey and saying, "Do you edit your podcast?" That's going to be a weird listening experience.
No, man. I really because I look ahead to my future and I want to be your age and still creating.
Okay.
And
How old, Steve? How old are you?
I'm 36.
Okay. Like, okay. So when I was 36, Endless Blockade was still going. I was still touring a lot. Um, I still, I'm still putting out. Yeah, I still had a lot of good. If something happened, I never put another record out again. As of now, like between 36 and now, I put out a fucking shit ton of stuff and started a lot of new projects. Like you can, I don't know.
It's
I felt more creative and more in control of my creativity in my late 30s than I did in my 20s.
I agree. I feel the same way, man. I feel it's like a confidence, and also I've stopped trying to make it.
Yeah.
I know my skill set, so I'm not, and I still need to like work on that. Like, just I need to create for myself.
Hmm.
I still have little echoes of like, oh, what's this person gonna think or this and that, but it's just getting comfortable in your own skin.
That's natural.
Yeah, I look
Yeah.
forward to that, to just totally like kind of truly being able to write music for myself, which is, I think, hard to do because people are going to hear your music, If you put it out there, people are going to hear it.
Yeah, but you know what? I've seen your bands, and sorry, this sounds like almost seems like an underhanded dig, but I've seen your bands, and like I don't believe that the music you're doing in Grabera is not a very pure reflection of the two people making that music. That it's what it comes across as to me.
Hey, man. Well, I want to get to that just totally honest with myself expression of like, this is what I actually inside think is cool versus like how percentage of it is who's going to hear it and what are they going to hear and this and that. But I could even pick your brain about just your creative process, man. Cause like how many hundreds of songs or whatever you've written, does it start at night? Is it like every day you do it? I don't know, man. Like, how do you create?
It changes all the time. I think you have to. I think if you're going to have any longevity, and by longevity I mean your own personal interest in doing it and not feeling stuck or repeating yourself too much, I think you have to change how you approach things. Currently, I make music almost every day. It's hard for me because of time and work right now, but I make music almost every day. If nothing else, because to me it's like exercising. You keep working on certain skill sets and like muscle development, but in a musical's perspective. For writing for intensive care, I tend to when I write music that's like like drums and bass, I tend to think about it for a very long time before I write it, and I will spend months thinking about what I want to do and how I want to do it, and then I will just start sitting down and going through ideas, and I will just demo stuff at home. And then in intensive care, I do a lot of stuff at home and I record it on my computer. Then me and Bloomer get together and we do it. We do it in the room, and then we make changes when it's two of us. So it's not just like, here's my home demos, please perform the role of a human drum machine now. So we kind of make it into something that makes a bit more sense. And then but yeah, I tend to write in batches. Like I'll write like 5 songs in a week, and then I'll have a month where I'm just like, pick up a bass and everything just sounds like anytime I hit a note on it. But that's kind of always how I've been with it.
Now, when you say like you think about it, is it like are you thinking about the feel? Because the stuff you write is like abrasive and layered, and is it when you're thinking about it, what are you thinking about? Like the feel of it, the length of it, the vibe of it. Like there's so many things you could. I'm
thinking about usually the influences I want to draw on, and the end result, and I think of how I can turn the start into the end. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it does.
Like, in the Endless Blockade, what we would do is we would kind of. I never write anymore. I haven't for years. I don't just write a song and then, I'm going to write another song now. I write for releases. So I write specific groups of songs with a sense of consistency and cohesion to them. So I will set those parameters ahead of time. So in Endless Blockade, it was like, okay, these are the 3 things that this record is going to do. Everything's going to be based around these 3 kind of ideas, and we're going to push these 3 ideas as much as we can. So it's almost like intentionally limiting yourself to push as much as you can out of the material you're drawing from, the inspiration you're drawing from. And I guess that's still what I do now with intensive care. We talk about me and Bloomer, we talk a lot about what we want to do and the directions we want to go in, and it's usually it's my job to write all the music, but we definitely discuss how we're going to get there and what kind of stuff we're going to do.
That's
yeah. I don't know. I feel like that's probably really boring for anyone else to hear that.
No. Like I love this question because I don't write songs. Mark writes the songs and I get to add to it, but it seems difficult to come up with ideas for a song. Like I get the secondary part. So like that's a part that's like, to me, that's fascinating that you would have a direction and like be able to put this box and like, hey, these ideas are all in this one box. I think would help it move ahead versus, because you might get, even I feel like with Grabert at least, like we'll get stuck on a bunch of songs and it's like, should we use these? Shouldn't we use these? So to have some parameters probably helps that.
We do that too, and intensive care has definitely thrown away more songs than we've ever actually finished.
I was gonna ask that, yeah, like if you
we
stuff.
do, and I think that's a healthy thing actually, to discard more than you actually put out into the world. I think you should do that, and you should be extremely critical of your own stuff. And I really don't care about negative press for anything I do, because I don't know, I've gone through all those thoughts about my own work long
before it gets out. Yeah,
I have thoroughly chewed over it for months before the public gets to hear any stupid dumb idea I have for the minute. Yeah.
Do you like with lyrics? Will you do a lot of revisions and stuff? No.
I not in intensive care. In intensive care, I try and get the idea of what we're doing, and then I sort of write these intentionally fragmented, almost like chants and slogans. When we started the band, actually, we kind of got together and we just wrote down ideas of parameters. And one of the things lyrically I remember writing down and always sticking to is I try not to go too in depth into the stuff. I don't want to say I intentionally keep it vague. I intentionally keep it fragmented. Yeah.
Is that to kind of limit yourself again? Like, so you're not just like writing novels?
No, it's okay. So it's because it's the influence of like old power electronics, I think, of just like hitting a line and repeating it, and getting a slogan, and the influence of like early Swans and that kind of stuff. Like, just I don't think it ended up this way, but I think I wanted it almost to be like a sort of a trance-like thing for performing the lines. So, you know, a 4-minute song that didn't have that many lines, so there was a lot of repetition involved. That was where I was going with that. I mean, the content and the concepts are broadly the same for pretty much everything we do. So it's just about kind of fragmenting the specifics of what I'm singing about.
I like that, as far as because I feel like your band, like Intensive Care, has a vibe, and it's definitely like a vibey type band. Like even today in prepping for this, I'm listening to it, and it's some of the stuff is like kind of heavy, not like fucking heavy riffs, but like repetitive, kind of uncomfortable. Even the way you put like a slogan or a phrase, that it works really well with the band itself.
That is that is the influence of industrial music and early power electronics. That's where that comes from, but without being like, hey, we're doing a power electronics thing. That, you know, everybody look at us, aren't we clever doing this? Like, no, that's what the influence is. That's where that comes from.
Do you like, I don't know, do you have areas as a musician that you feel are your strengths and your weaknesses? Like, you ever think of it that way? Like, I'm going to look at myself in the mirror and what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses?
Yeah. So it's the basic dynamic of intensive care is I think a lot and have a lot of ideas, and often too many ideas, and I push things a lot, and I tend to kind of get off into my own headspace. And Bloomer is a grounding influence on me. Like, Bloomer is the one that will bring me back down and say, that idea is cool, but maybe don't do it. And for Bloomer, like, the dynamic is I kind of pull him out a bit more into areas that he might not ordinarily want to do. You know, the dynamic is the he grounds me and I push him a bit more. So I guess a strength and a weakness is, like, I think I think a lot of steps ahead in terms of what I'm doing, but the downside of that is that sometimes I miss steps and I just jump ahead too quickly for especially for other people I'm playing music with sometimes.
I think it's such a personal thing to make music, and especially when you're doing it with someone else, that it's important to be aware of that type of stuff, because it is so personal. Your ideas, his ideas,
Yeah,
and the relationship that is being in another band with someone. I a lot of these questions I ask myself, and then I just ask other people, because it's like, well, what do they think? You know, it's like, I don't know how to dig a ditch. How do you dig a ditch? Here's how I dig a ditch. All right, that's how I'm gonna try to do it too.
yeah, and in 2019, I'm not kidding myself. I couldn't do a band with like, you know, 3 or 4 other dudes in it again. I'm unable to do that anymore in my life. I just can't do it, and I don't think I'm a very good person in those situations anymore. It's just not for me. I think when it's the two of you, yeah, I can handle a creative relationship with one other person, but like multiple people, it's too much for me to want to invest too heavily in at this point in my life.
Man, it makes sense, man. It's
I mean, you play in bands with like lots of people, and you play in a two-piece. Like, there's a huge difference in how you approach and do things, and how you even decide things, right?
100%, man, 100%. Like having a two, like, minus all the gear we have to lug with two. You know, you're saying with you, like two guys loading all that gear. That sucks, but there is a beauty in just like one other person to be concerned with. I want to ask you, because there's a few more other things I want to ask, but the fucking hip hop shit, man, is fascinating. Yeah. Like
okay,
you like the like, I listened to that track. Are you doing his whole album, the Falcon Outlaw stuff, or just
yes, yes? And for the sake of people listening to this, going, oh hey, the guy from Endless Blockade's on a podcast. Should we preface this in some way?
Yeah,
someone's gonna be like, what?
So yes, you. It's funny. I found a thing online about, like, actually on the YouTube video of it, like, who did the beats?
yeah.
And you know, someone's like, it's this like metal guy doing the beats.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing this? And like, yeah, I want you to talk about it, man. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Well, I should talk about it, because when I say I do music every day, most of the music I do is hip hop at this point in my life. So I have obviously, this interview started with me talking about hip hop as a 15-year-old setting up a pirate radio station, and my obsessions and the earliest music I was into. But in recent years, this ties into everything we're saying. So I taught myself to record about 10 years ago. I'm a person that and please keep me on track, because I'm going to just go off on paths, and we're going to get so far away.
We're here.
And then Pierre Bourdieu in 1987 in his landmark sociological study, and we're going, okay, cool. Tell me about hip hop now.
Yes. You're a hip hop head, and you've been learning how to do stuff on your own. And
yeah. So if I'm given a deadline, if I'm given a heavy task with a deadline, I will always take on new things to do parallel to it. And it's not as an avoidance thing. It's because my brain works better when I'm learning new things. So I was writing my thesis for my master's program. And as I was finishing the research for it, I thought, I'm going to teach myself how to record my own music now. Like, I mean, I've always done like little stuff at home, like noise tapes and stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to learn how to record a drum kit. So I learned how to do that while I was finishing my master's thesis. And then I was like, oh, a new problem. I'm going to learn how to remix hip hop a cappellas and do it properly, which I did. And it's a weird it's mathematical. It's like repositioning vocals and time with beats and stuff. It's something I don't remix hip hop stuff anymore, because it's quite arduous. But I taught myself how to do that. I'm like, I'm going to learn how to do this now. But because it helped me write my thesis. Because if I keep my brain active all the time in certain things, it means I'm perpetually making connections around stuff. Okay. It's how my strange brain works. In the process of deciding I was going to remix a bunch of old hip hop acapellas from stuff when I was a kid and grew up with, and also learning how to record, I started sort of making beats and just like electronic music, I guess. And it was partly because every time I got a new piece of equipment or something, I would test it out. And, you know, you can't just like go, hey, Eric, come over and play a fucking blast beat for an afternoon. Like, it's like, so I'm just going to do some electronic music and work out these techniques. So I learned a lot of mixing techniques and recording techniques by putting electronic music and beats together. And then I kept putting stuff together, and I did a full album's worth of, it wasn't hip hop, it was somewhat drum and bass influence, but with a lot of hip hop influences and a much lower tempo and a lot of like weird industrial samples, and but really sample based. And I was going to put out a whole album of this, like Crucial Blast. I don't know if you remember that label. He put out an album, and it didn't happen in the end, because partly because I felt it wasn't focused enough. And I fell out of doing it, and then Column of Heaven started, and that really, really, really took over my life for the Column of Heaven wasn't very long, but it took over my life for a long time. So I put that to the side, and then Column of Heaven finished, and then we started Intensive Care, and then I guess a couple of years ago, so I've already disclosed I'm not that enthused about playing live anymore. Like, I do it, but I'm not chasing it. If I never played live again, it would be fine. But I'm not ready to retire from music, and I know that for the stuff we do, you have to play live, otherwise, like, no one's gonna ever hear of you or care about you. So I started, and I was listening to a lot more hip hop again. I really started just almost listening to nothing but hip hop again about 3 years ago. Like, just pretty much took over my life again. So about 2 years ago, I thought, maybe this is a retirement plan for me. I can still keep doing music, but I can move into a production thing. I don't have to be the front and center anymore, or I can just do it in the background, because, you know, the goal is to provide MCs with music and do stuff I want to do. And I can just do it literally in my bedroom at home on my own, and then work with people. And I don't have to carry an 8x10 down a flight to a basement ever again. I don't have to sit at the merch table and get absolutely punished by some drunken idiot at 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't have to sneak across the border into the States to play a clandestine show of 50 kids in Albany. You know. So almost 2 years ago, I was like, all right, fuck it. I'm going to see if I can do this. So I really just started throwing my efforts into like trying to learn how to do hip hop. And I don't mean in sort of some cavalier, oh, I'm going to do this thing now. I was like, no, I'm going to do this properly if I'm going to do it. So I worked on it a lot, and I made a lot of music that was fucking awful. You listen back to it and you go, oh man, that's not too good. But I figured out how to do it. And then I started reaching out to some people. Started getting some good responses and a lot of like absolutely no responses. And then in the last few months, it's kind of really started to take off. Like, I'm not saying it's taken off, but it started to take off. So I've been, so the song, I've done a few songs with people that didn't go anywhere or didn't come out. And then I did a song with a guy from Peterborough called Garbage Face. Last year, and that worked, and that came out, and he put that on one of his releases. I think it's called Pelagia.
I'd love to check that out.
So the song is called The Last Boy Scout. It's on his Bandcamp. So I did that. So he was Carol, who is Garbage Face. I love that guy, and very trusting. And we were talking for a long time. And then he's like, okay, let's do some stuff together. So he was doing an album. He was doing some challenge where you have to get an album in a month or something. So he was like, he emailed me and says, hey, I'm doing this thing. Do you want to be involved in it? The deadline is super short though. I'm like, okay, fuck it. Why not? So I sent him like a really bare bones, just a beat. And I said, so just fucking record on this, send it back to me, and I'll put it together. And I put it together with like a 12-hour deadline, and it was far too complicated what I made. But it came out pretty good. So we started talking more, and me and Garbage Face, we have most of an album done. So he's had a lot of stuff going on in his life in the last while. Like him and his partner just bought a house. So, but I don't even know how many songs we've got. It's somewhere between 7 and 10 songs. So we need to record all the vocals on it. But we spent a lot of time doing some back and forth on that. That's been really a good process for me, and I've really enjoyed doing that. And I'm hoping that we can kind of finish that and put it out into the world soon, because I really like that. And then last summer I just messaged a guy on Instagram, Falcon Outlaw, who there's this two piece in I think they're two piece, primarily a two piece called Falcon Crest in Toronto. It's Falcon Outlaw and Dante are the two MCs in it. I really like their stuff, and I just like messaged him and said, "Oh yeah, you're in Falcon Crest. I really like your stuff. Can I send you some music?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure, send me some music." And then I sent him some stuff and heard back, and then it just kind of went silent for a while, and then maybe 2 months ago, he was like, "Yo, I'm going to record to that beat tomorrow." I'm like, "Oh shit, okay, what?"
Wow.
Because I hadn't heard from him for a while.
Uh-huh.
And then he did the track, so it's on Spotify and YouTube and everything. It's called Trigger. Trigger Still Got No Heart. I don't even know my old song.
Trigger Still Got No Heart.
Trigger Still Got No Heart. So that's the song, and it's starting to get a bit of traction. It's good. It's like people are responding to it nicely.
Man, I saw Sun Tzu posted it, and that guy's like, I don't know, he's got a bunch of cool shit on his YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's yeah. Sun Tzu posts good stuff on YouTube, but that's all because of the Falcon Crest connection, right? Those guys have been doing this for a couple of years. People know them in the underground, and then it started to do well. It's only been out there for about 3 or 4 weeks, but it's doing quite it's doing nicely.
Oh no, I saw it and I was like, fuck, it's impressive.
So I went to meet him. So he was like, it's him and his manager. I think it's his manager. Well, his co-partner, his business partner, Jay, who does High Heat Records, who releases the Falcon Crest stuff. They're like, "Yo, let's meet up." So we're like, "Okay, yeah, sure, let's do it." Because I sent him some more, but he's like, "Do you want any more stuff?" And I was like, "Yeah, send it." So I sent him some stuff, and he's like, "These are all fucking crazy." So he really liked the other stuff I sent. So then they said, "Let's go meet." And I think they were like, we met like a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago maybe.
Mm-hmm.
We just went for food in Parkdale. And I think they were probably like, "Let's go check out this weird metal guy who's making hip hop now and see what he's all about."
Uh-huh.
And I was like, "Okay, I'm going to meet these two dudes who might be gangster rappers. I don't know."
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see what happens. And it was super nice. It was like we had food, a couple of drinks. We were talking. We're all on the same page, and it's like, okay, let's do an album together. So we've been working on that. I played Falcon. I played him like a bunch of beats I had on my phone. And he was like, "Yeah, these are all good." So
cool. Wow.
So I think he's picked about 10, maybe more than that now, actually, based on yesterday. But he's picked a bunch of my songs. He was in the studio today. He recorded two. I think one of them's now a Falcon Crest song. I'm not sure because Dante's on. The other one is for the album. It's called Blood in the Woods. It's hopefully going to get it finished and released over the summertime. But that's I don't know. It's super exciting, and I'm very happy with how that's going. And I really like that guy as a person as well. So that's working well. I've got this thing with Garbage Face that's coming out. I've got I'm mixing as we I should be mixing it now, but I'm not. Podcast. I've did a full-length, a 10-song album with a guy from the Bay Area called Luke Sick, who I got hooked up with through Dan Lactose from Spaz.
Wow.
So they've worked together as Ground Invincible a few times, and I just said, I like Luke Sick stuff, and I was texting Dan. I was like, do you think Luke would be into doing anything? He's like, "Yeah, sure." We connected. I sent him some music. He liked it, and then I don't know, like it ended up being a 10-song album. So that's getting finished, and Iron Lung's going to put that one out, which is cool. So that's the weird thing. And then there's a dude from Vancouver called Luke Luscious who I've been talking to. I've done a full album for him. I think it's 9 songs. It might be more. Fuck,
man, that's a lot of music. Jesus Christ.
I went from not having anything out to there's 4 albums that my shit's mostly ready. Like it, but it's not that. But doing hip hop is not the same as playing in a band with other people. Like I can sit at my computer and I can sit and play beats and work on stuff, and I can do a song relatively quickly. When you're writing songs for a band album, you sit at home and you work on it, and then you teach it to the other guy, and then you play it 500 times, then you play it live, and then you finally go in and record it, and then it's a huge big deal tracking it. it's not like that doing a hip hop song. Like when the drums are finished, it's like, oh, yo, the drums are finished. I don't have to teach it to you and have you play 500 times. The drums are done.
Yeah.
And then so it's quicker to put it together. But I mean, I've also been, been doing this every day for like 2 years now.
Wow, holy fuck, man.
But yeah, so there's an album with Luke Luscious coming out on Vile Life. I'm just waiting for him to do his vocals. I got a couple of songs on different projects here and there. I can't remember, but I don't remember all of them. I know Chuck and Locke from Delaware, who too, they're pretty unknown, I think, which is a shame because they're amazing. But I got 2 songs on their album that they're doing, and I've got these 4 albums coming out, and and there's some other people I'm hoping that I can start working with now. I think having that Falcon Crest connection has been good because people are like, oh yeah, you do stuff with Falcon Crest, and because before it's like, who's this metal guy sending me beats? I don't care, and I don't want to do it. But it opens some doors for them, so it's good. It's going well. I like it. It's one of my primary musical passions lie.
Rights, man.
In that world, and I'm very conscious of not being like metal guy making beats. It's like I'm not like doing shit with like Slayer samples.
Yeah.
So A, that's fine, and B, if it fits, I'll fucking do it.
Yeah,
I don't care.
yeah.
But I'm doing hip hop that I love and that sounds like hip hop I listen to. I'm not doing middle-aged metal guy hip hop, if there is such a thing. Like, I find that obnoxious. My firm belief about hip hop is it should speak to Black working class youth, being neither Black nor youth. Like, okay, so my goal is to be a backdrop to people pushing things forward. I'm not trying to put my own spin on it for the sake of me. I only ever want to do things as part of a broader cultural context. So.
I think a thing I do is like I'll play music from the guest, but I really just like people who know you who might not know that you do beats and stuff. Me listening to the beat and being able to compare the two, it's amazing how different they are. It's really like that you're the same guy in both projects.
So,
like you did a good job of that, man. Fuck.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And that one came out really well, and it came out well because Falcon kind of has a really interesting way of approaching the music I give him. It's like the 2 songs he sent me back today. He recorded this afternoon. I guess he's at the Raptors game tonight. But the songs I worked on today, like sent them back, like came out amazing and were not what I was hearing in my head when I sent him the music. But the song Trigger, there's no samples on that one. Like most of the stuff I do is sample based.
Okay.
That one, like I'm gonna like just play all this, and so it's like,
wow, you played all that. That's no samples on that.
No, that one has no samples.
Wow,
I do a lot of sample-based stuff as well. I think some of the sample-based stuff people would hear it and go, oh, I can sort of maybe hear now that I know that that's that guy. And especially I think if you're paying attention to some of the intensive care stuff like the Removal to Elsewhere tape that we did a few months ago, which was more like weird industrial stuff. But it's like there's it's rhythmic. It's not beats as in like dance beats or anything. But I feel that someone would... In this day and age, I think you can hear it and go, yeah, that makes sense to me. Like, it's not weird like it would have been like 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah. If I had, like, so I do this every, like, you probably heard with Eric where I play music.
Yeah.
Is that cool to play the Falcon stuff? Or like,
yeah, please. Play the Falcon stuff.
Okay. Let's do the Hibzine thing where we put in the music. We'll play Trigger Still Got No Heart by Falcon Outlaw, and the beats were done by you. Now, can I ask you this? In the description for my episode, I can put Wolfagram, right? Or no? Like
Yeah. Okay. So I do hip hop under the name Wolfagram, which... so the boring story about that is I had a different name, and then I was like, social media is pretty much the way you have to promote yourself, and I'm not very good at promoting myself on social media, but I thought I really don't want to make a separate new social media account, so I just changed my producer name to what my social media accounts were, which is Wolfagram, which is the name of the sigil that we used in Colma Heaven. So I guess that makes sense. But yeah, put it as Andrew Nolan.
Cool. So I'll put that right here. This is that track.
And they're getting out of control. Today's generation is different from previous generations. In fact, this is the first generation of Black youth that is actually feared.
Yeah, rap beef, tweet beef, that doesn't happen here, cause niggas will show up and leave shell casings everywhere the same. Once brought up of hand-me-downs and welfare, who the fuck told you you could do good round here? My grandpa was a killer, now we sit in his rocking chair. He knew he was a savage, so we still keep his gun near. The violence need to stop. I don't think that you thinking clear. The gun is still held by the same killer as last year. They don't think twice, bullets rain like a thunderstorm. The trigger got no heart when them things go airborne. The street kings to nobodies. The shooter takes all forms. Death row got an open cell that they keep warm. Gangsters don't die, they multiply and terrorize. One falls down, the next one will surely rise with less heart than the last with no soul in his eyes. I thought things changed, but the trigger still got no heart. The trigger still got no heart. The trigger still got no heart. The trigger still got no heart.
Let's deal with the blacks because they are multiplying at an enormously high rate and they're getting out of control.
Now the feds shooting at anything they could kill. Sometimes I think these motherfuckers do it for thrills. With a gun and the badge, I can lie, they drill. They ain't nothing but some crew. Clubs can license to kill. Niggas kill too, but the license they don't need one. Hit you up and come back. Make sure that the job done. Make sure the ambulance comes and scooping your ass up. Now back in the hood with high fives and gang love. This is the streets that these rappers don't talk about or know about. Yeah, they just rapping for clout. 99.9% these rappers ain't let it down. I'm talking bullet through the chamber and flying a guy's mouth. God didn't want it like this, we wouldn't be here. Cause I don't see no gun manufacturers round here, round here, round here, round here. Get up, get up, get up. The trigger still got no heart. The trigger still got no heart. The trigger still got no heart. The trigger still got no heart.
That was that. I edited after. Man, Andrew, man, it's like I could keep you longer, but I know you gotta, probably catch some Z's. I
definitely have to walk the dog, is what I have to do.
Yeah, but I appreciate it, man. Nobody has to do this, and I just thank you for sitting and talking music with me for the last little bit. I fucking thank you.
I didn't even really get into specifics of anything I've done over the recent hip hop stuff, which is kind of nice, I gotta say.
Well, like I said, I didn't want it to be a lame interview. That's my biggest fear. That stops me from asking so many people to come on because it's like I just don't want to waste anyone's fucking time. But this was fun. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you. And if you're listening because you like Intensive Care, we've got some new records out, and there's a lot of records coming out in the future. So that's also happening.
Fucking right. So, yeah, I guess so. Like people who don't know, how do they find you? Like it's Survivalist. What is it?
Yeah. There's Intensive Care is on Instagram. Bloomer runs that. Please bug Bloomer with anything intensive care related. That's Intensive Care at Intensive Care TO. My personal stuff is Wolfagram on Twitter and Instagram. Okay. I don't think I post very often anymore, but that's where you can find me if you want to. If you want to hear the music. All Intensive Care stuff is on Spotify and all other streaming things, and you can find it on Bandcamp and on various labels. I think most things are out of print other than the new record.
Okay. The Iron Lung one? Or no?
No, it's a split 7-inch with Incinerated from Australia, death metal band. It's on Nerve Alter Records from New York. That came out 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's the new one. And there's more stuff coming out soon. There's an album we're doing an album right now, and then we've got another couple of records at the plant currently that should be out hopefully in a month.
Awesome, man. It's like, it's really, yeah, man. Like, I love what you're doing. It was cool to meet you guys in Brantford at that weird show, and
Yeah, and we've met before though.
yeah, it's well, and we'll now have like an actual hang next time, because that's the thing I love too. I can talk to someone at a venue. You can't have these conversations, so we actually had like a good conversation.
No, you never can at a venue. Well, I mean, we didn't have these conversations when you played literally 5 minutes away from my house.
Yeah, yeah, it was a very quick hello. This will go up Monday, and I'll tag you, and I'll just let you know. But like, yeah, man, really, Andrew, thank you, man.
No problem.
I'll I'll see you when I see you, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay, peace, buddy. Awesome. Fuck. Yeah. Rad dude making really good music. And that fucking beat is bananas. It's crazy that, like, that's fucking Andrew. Make sure you support him. Check out his stuff. Everything has been a part of. You won't be disappointed. Let me shout out the sponsors really quick here. We have Brewed Biscuits, all natural spent grain pet treats. Go to twospentgrains.ca to order your delicious, all natural, non-shitty pet food or pet treats. Heartbeathotsauce.com for your hot sauce. I have bottles. If you guys want to hit me up, I can hook you up. The best hot sauce you're ever going to have. Kevin Rigo of Hefner Toyota. Find him at 3121 King Street East in Kitchener, Ontario. I love this man. You can buy your car off him. Your mom can. Your uncle can. Anyone you know and love and care, send them to Rigo. Find him on Facebook. IroncladGraphics.com for your silk screening needs. They make all the merch, and you can get it all through them. They ship coast to coast. They're competitive. Don't be a chump. Order through Ironclad Graphics. DapperBeardOil.com. Also, don't be a chump with these guys. Get your beard oil game or your beard on point with this amazing company. WellingtonBrewery.ca for the beers. Order a shirt from me, TakerWide.com. Follow the Instagram, TakerWide Podcast, TakerWide.com, all that shit. As always, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and be cool. I'm out of here. Peace.